Warning, warning, this video contains information and content that may offend and trigger sensitive people. If you are offended by this video, you can contact our complaint department at contact@boneheadtruckers.com.
Hey, welcome to Bonehead Truckers. This is a place we make fun of the dumb stuff we see out here on the road. So if you like this kind of garbage, make sure you subscribe to the channel and hit that daggone like button. Hey, last week we had American Truckers United call out the FMCSA at Mid-American Trucking Show. It was pretty epic. These guys started applauding. Listen to the applaud that these guys are getting.
Being from the Department of Transportation, I know y'all are aware our pilots are required to read and speak English. Our truck drivers are required to read and speak English. Can you comment on why the FMCSA is not enforcing the out-of-service violation of truck drivers who cannot read and speak English?
Hear, hear!
Amen.
I think in the future there will be a lot more attention to this. I will say that we do enforce that regulation. It's enforced.
You don't put them out of service anymore.
So that's not an FMCSA though. That's CVSA.
Yes, it is.
No, it's FMCSA.
And I think you can expect.
I think the partnerships are really critical, and I think this issue is absolutely a live issue and will be addressed in the near future.
What about non-domiciled CDLs given out to asylum seekers that are unvetted?
So yeah, also another live issue. But that doesn't mean, so that's at a state level, but I would say that they're probably not unvetted if I was to correct that.
No, they're unvetted.
That would be a question. But so I look forward to having these kind of conversations if I have that opportunity in the future. These are really issues, and they're hot issues. These are issues that that we need direction from the secretary. And we welcome the feedback of the new administrator once he's confirmed. But we definitely appreciate that they're
To Jesse's point, not to get ahead of anything that the secretary or hopefully assumed to be confirmed administrator actions they may take. This is stuff that is absolutely being, it's not fallen by the wayside. I think to your point.
No, it's...
64-year-old Scott Miller died when a semi-truck rolled over on Highway 285 outside Conifer in June. The truck driver was released from jail this weekend, but then quickly found himself back in handcuffs. Glad to have you with us this Monday evening. I'm Shannon Ogden.
And I'm Jessica Porter. Denver 7 Investigates was there as Ignacio Cruz Mendoza was released from the Jefferson County Detention Center yesterday after serving time for the crash. Immigration and Customs Enforcement agents were waiting for him.
Investigative reporter Natalie Chuck joins us in the studio tonight. You were there as all this unfolded yesterday.
Yeah, I mean, you could see that video right there, right, Shannon? And Jessica, at 8:30 yesterday morning, our cameras were rolling as Cruz Mendoza was escorted out by a handful of federal agents and taken to the ICE detention facility in Aurora. We broke the news last summer that Cruz Mendoza was in the U.S. illegally at the time of that fatal crash. I talked to the victim's wife today, now pushing for an overhaul of the trucking industry. Does it feel like it's been a long time or a very short amount of time has passed?
Well, that's a good question. It feels both, honestly.
The last time we saw Deanne Miller was at the Jefferson County Courthouse. 7 months ago, the man behind the wheel of a semi-truck that lost control and killed her husband, Scott, was sentenced to 1 year in jail. Ignacio Cruz Mendoza pleaded guilty to multiple charges, including careless driving resulting in death.
It gets harder every day. Not easier, harder.
Cruz Mendoza was released from jail Sunday morning, then immediately taken into federal custody in the lobby. Denver 7 Investigates was first to report that U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement had this man on their radar for years. Cruz Mendoza, a citizen of Mexico, has been deported before, 12 times since 2002. He voluntarily left the country 4 other times.
So if we weren't here, this person would have been released back to the community of Denver.
When I called you before, you had just gotten the news. What was your reaction?
Well, I was happy that ICE did their job, and he's going to be deported because, he doesn't belong in this country. He is here illegally. But at the same time, I had mixed emotions because I know this sounds weird, but I felt sorry for the guy too. He's human, and I just worry about what his life's going to be like now.
Now, Deanne's life is spent fighting for change. Cruz Mendoza did not have a commercial driver's license and was not legally allowed to operate the semi-truck. The Millers made their livelihood running a trucking company themselves. Recently, she testified in Arkansas for stricter regulations for drivers, hoping Colorado and the rest of the country will follow suit.
My ultimate goal is for the federal government to wake up and do their job. Our life was destroyed that day. My husband was killed. And I don't want to see anybody else's family go through that. I don't, just because people put profit over lives. It's ridiculous.
ICE says if Cruz Mendoza is caught entering the country illegally again, he could face up to 20 years in federal prison.
Hold it. Wait, stop. You mean to tell me that the dude runs over somebody, okay, not supposed to be driving a truck, not even supposed to be here, not supposed to be in a truck, and then he goes and runs over somebody, all right? But he only gets 1 year and then sent back to Mexico and released over there. But no, if he gets caught again over here, then he will serve 20 years. I mean, let's just be honest. The truck drivers out there, you CDL holders, you American citizens, if you did this, okay, even you're not even a CDL holder, you're a Class A, but you're in a truck illegally, and then you run over somebody, like, you think all you're going to get is a year? All you get is a misdemeanor charge? Oh no, you won't. You'll be sitting there for at least 10 years, 20 years. But these guys that are illegal get, 1 year, and then we're going to set you free in Mexico. But if you come back, then we'll give you 20 years. This is messed up.
Now, as for the laws Deanne is hoping to change, we will be breaking those down for you coming up at 6:30 tonight. Reporting in studio, Natalie Chuck, Denver 7.
Natalie, thank you. Going in depth here, federal regulators shut down the trucking company that Mendoza worked for. Monique Trucking was based in California. The U.S. Department of Transportation says the company was non-compliant with federal safety regulations and was cited with several serious violations. Regulators issued an order last summer declaring the company to be a, quote, imminent hazard to public safety.
Oh, I guarantee you, the people who are running that company are still in the trucking business. They're still in the trucking business under a different name. All right. It's happening all the time.
And ordered them to cease all operations immediately. That order could be rescinded if Monique Trucking meets 14 safety standards that includes implementing a controlled substance and alcohol testing program, establishing safety management controls, and periodically inspecting its vehicles.
Guys, this is a screenshot of a text message I got. It says, "Hi, I'm Oliver from Truck Secure LLC. If your business is no longer operating, I can buy your MC and DOT numbers based on your safety records. If you have an Amazon Relay account, I have a good offer for you." Amazon Relay account. Who would have thunk it? This is a fast, simple transaction that could provide significant financial return. In addition, we are looking for drivers. If you want, you can work with me as a driver. Oh, goodness gracious. Make sure you give them a call, 513-426-7972. That's Truck Secure LLC. This is happening, folks, and it's happening more than you realize. Hey, these next clips are from the ATU in Arkansas at a committee trying to, do the right thing. Take a watch.
Identify yourself for the record, please.
My name is Shannon Everett. I'm one of the co-founders of American Truckers United. I've been in the industry for about 25 years. I represent a membership group that's over 2,000 people now, which includes truck drivers. The other association that spoke today mainly represents carriers, larger carriers. I would even go on to say probably the biggest carriers. We are bringing a voice to the American truck driver and to crash victims. And so we are here today to speak against HB 1745. This bill is a paper tiger. There's an industry-wide discussion right now that's taking place about two different groups of drivers. We have the American truck driver and the legacy American mom and pop small trucking company, and we have this new group of non-citizen foreign truck drivers who have taken over the industry. They're putting people out of jobs, they're having crashes, and there's no accountability. The loopholes currently in state law and federal law are allowing this to take place. There is U.S. Code 49 U.S.C. 31141 that clearly states that states can enact laws or regulations on commercial motor vehicle safety that are more stringent than federal standards. This would require a federal review process by the Secretary of Transportation, but I encourage everyone on this committee to not be discouraged in enforcing stricter standards. There's laws for that. There's a process for that. The English Proficiency Amendment that was provided does not take the imminent hazard off of our roadways, and the federal code calls for out of service. So we need to go further and impound their vehicles, which is one of the recommendations in HB 1569. We have a more adequate English requirement over in that bill in the House, which includes taking them off the roads. But the main thing here is these loopholes. We need to be closing loopholes. We don't need to be putting language around the loophole. We need to shut them down. This bill, as it exists, 1745, still allows Mark Bryant's death in Lawrence County to go unpunished. This bill, as it sits, allows the death of Scott Miller. It would go unpunished. This bill, as it sits, still allows American truck drivers to be replaced by non-citizen truck drivers all across the country. Your constituents, your voters are being replaced by this new group of non-domiciled truck drivers, by this new group of foreign commercial truck drivers. And so 1745 is actually protecting these loopholes. The original draft included reciprocity for non-domiciled learner's permit. We got them to take that out. The current draft defers this legislative authority to a federal agency, the FMCSA.
Mr. Everett, your time is up.
Okay.
Questions from committee? Senator Rice.
I would ask you to explain what FMCSA, I know what it is, explain their position on this.
Thank you for that question. I was actually with the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration this past week at the largest trucking show in the United States with all of our owner-operators and small fleet owners. Impressive show, about 50,000 people in attendance. They had an event with a Q&A, and we were able to ask them about this issue. Specifically the non-domicile issue that's been discussed at length a little bit by some of the earlier witnesses. And they, on tape, said it's a state issue. The states are the one issuing the commercial driver's licenses. And so it does matter in Arkansas, and we should be taking action on these things because as we've spoken to FMCSA, they're pointing back. Nobody's wanting to take responsibility for this. And that's why it's allowed to exist, and that's why it's growing exponentially.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just pass along. The committee may be ready to vote, but I've got more questions on this, and I've got some history with some drivers. Wasn't Mexico or Canada. I don't know where they're from. Maybe the U.S. The Slavic language couldn't understand it all and did damage. No, this thing needs more discussion, I believe.
I wouldn't disagree with that. Any other questions for the committee?
Thank you.
Yeah, if you'll identify yourself for the record.
Yes, sir. I'm Harvey Beach. I'm one of the co-founders of American Truckers United, and my family has been in the trucking business in Arkansas for 43 years. I'm going to really quickly try to give you guys some facts and then also speak to the enforcement language that was in 1745. Some facts. The American Trucking Association advised our federal government that it was okay to give non-citizens what's called a non-domiciled CDL. And it's important to note that a non-domiciled CDL cannot even be used to board an airplane in our country. The Biden administration, with their open borders policy and under the advisement of the American Trucking Association, created the Biden Trucking Action Plan in 2021. And the results of that plan flooded hundreds of thousands of unvetted non-citizens into the long-haul trucking segment. The majority of these folks cannot read, speak, or understand English. And again, I would like to point out a non-domiciled CDL cannot be used to board an airplane in our country. The American Trucking Association and the Arkansas Trucking Association endorsed the Biden Trucking Action Plan. Since that plan has been put in place, there has been an effort by the American Trucking Association to pass bills in as many states as possible that allow for non-domiciled CDLs and even non-domiciled learners permits, which was in the original draft of House Bill 1745. I want to talk about the enforcement language. The employment authorization document, which I realize they just amended the bill. Most, if not all, of these folks that possess non-domiciled CDLs already have that document. So requiring that does nothing to help.
I apologize, Mr. Beach, your time is up, but okay. I think there will be some questions from the committee.
I'm against 1745 because it does nothing to fix our problems on our roadways.
Okay, what on House Bill 1745 are you against, Mr. Beach, or your association?
The lack of taking drivers off of our roads that cannot read and understand our road signs and our temporary warning signs. There's been a drastic increase in fatality and injury accidents caused by big trucks, and we believe this is one of the root causes for it, sir.
Okay. Questions? No. Senator Rice?
And what you're saying is what it looks like in this bill is requiring some documentation that's not required now, makes it look like they're doing something but they're really not. Is that what
the most recent amendment, they took out the employment authorization document.
Is your microphone on?
I'm sorry, I'm back away from it. Yes. The most recent amendment, I believe they removed the employment authorization document language because that's the very document that has been given to asylum seekers that they use to go get the non-domiciled CDL. So all of these people on our roads in big trucks that can't read and understand our road signs and temporary warning signs, they already have that document, sir.
Okay, well, I will agree with you. I don't come into contact with that many, but I've come into contact with ones that can't understand English good enough to have a conversation that's delivered to me, and I've seen some of the things on the road. So, Mr. Chair, I hope the sponsors can answer some of the concerns of this, because I don't want to do harm that's already being done.
Other questions from committee? Again, let me be sure I understand, Mr. Beach. You're against the bill.
Yes, sir.
Not because of anything that's in it, but because of what's not in it. And if I'm wrong, tell me I'm wrong.
No, this bill has been put out in opposition to HB 1569 that we are trying to get passed. I would also like to point out that we have been told from high-level law enforcement officials in our own state that our state and local law enforcement folks out there on the street, they have no way to tell if a Mexican CDL is real or not. That's quote unquote. So how are we going to force fake Mexican CDLs if our folks out there doing the job have no way of telling if it's real or not?
There is a competing bill.
HB 1569, we've been trying to get it before committee in the House for a while, but we keep getting stalled.
At this point, I'm wondering if that's going to happen. But it's in transportation in the House?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Any other questions from committee? All right, thank you, Mr. Beach.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Next,